Paragraph 5. Let's go to there. Hold on 1 second. Error cannot really threaten truth, which can always withstand it. Only the error is actually vulnerable. You are free to establish your kingdom where you see fit, but the right choice is inevitable if you remember this. Spirit is in a state of grace forever. Your reality is only spirit. Therefore, you are in a state of grace forever. Okay. Let's talk about that a little bit. All right. So again, perceiving yourself as spirit undoes a whole lot of errors. Just merely perceiving yourself as spirit and understanding that you are spirit, that you are not that body, that you are not that body that you see in the mirror, that self that you see in the mirror when you look at yourself in the mirror. The recognition of that undoes a whole lot of errors. The body is something that your spirit uses. It is something that your spirit uses. It is a learning device and nothing more. You are not that body. Okay. And this irrevocable fact, I want to expound on that. Because when we lose sight of this irrevocable fact and perceive ourselves as bodies, we commit ourselves to a world, an ever-changing world filled with fear, sickness, growing old, aging, death, even fear of the unknown. Everything becomes fearful when we perceive ourselves as bodies, because bodies are perishable. And if we are bodies, then we will one day perish. And if we have that understanding that we're going to perish one day, then we're full of fear. And fear has its own byproducts. Fear has a whole list of byproducts: anger, loneliness, anxiety. All of these are byproducts of fear. So, summary. When one has not awakened to their true origin, the world remains a frightening and fearful place. But when one has reawakened to their true origin of spirit, the world becomes changeless, immortal, invulnerable. The origins of spirit are changeless, invulnerable, immortal. The world becomes a loving, a joyful, and a happy place. So, repeat it once more. Spirit is in a state of grace forever. Your reality, brothers and sisters, is only spirit. Therefore, you are in a state of grace forever. Okay. Atonement undoes all errors in this respect. There it is. And thus uproots the source of fear. And thus uproots the source of fear. Let's talk about that. Atonement undoes all errors in this respect. So coming from the right perspective, which is true perspective. True perspective is perceiving truly that you are spirit, that you are immortal, that you are changeless, that you are not these bodies. Okay? Atonement, which involves forgiveness, just giving you a heads up, it involves forgiveness. Okay? But these true perceptions that you are spirit helps to undo a whole lot of fear. Miracles Now we're talking about, and then uproots the source of fears. So miracles rid you of fear. The Atonement rids you of fear. Perceiving yourself as spirit rids you of fear. Okay. Next sentence. Whenever you experience God's reassurances as threat, it is always because you are defending misplaced or misdirected loyalty. All right, so let's talk about that one. Whenever you experience the inevitability of the kingdom, the kingdom come, the coming of the kingdom, and things like that, and you experience that as threat, that means that you are aligning yourself with ego. That means that you are aligning yourselves with the body. So if you are aligning yourselves with ego, yes, the ego definitely perceives a coming of the kingdom and the inevitability of the kingdom as a threat. The ego perceives that as its doom. It perceives that as doom, as I am undone now. When the kingdom comes, I will be undone. That's what the ego, so yes, the ego perceives it as threat. So if you perceive it as threat as well, that means that you have aligned yourself with the ego and the body. Okay. Now, next sentence. When you project this to others, you imprison them, but only to the extent to which you reinforce errors that they have already made. This makes them vulnerable to the distortions of others, since their own perceptions themselves is distorted. Let me go back here, because let's see. So I'm going to repeat all this again. A woman undoes all errors in disrespect and thus uproots the source of fear. Whenever you experience God's reassurances as threat, it is always because you are defending misplaced or misdirected loyalty. When you project this to others, you imprison them, but only to the extent to which you reinforce errors they have already made. This makes them vulnerable to the distortions of others, since their own perception of themselves is distorted. The miracle worker can only bless them, and this undoes their distortions and frees them from prison. So I started interpreting that before I was done with that paragraph, but that's okay. We'll just continue on. So when you project this to others, you imprison them, but only to the extent to which you reinforce errors they have already made. This makes them vulnerable to the distortion of others, since their own perceptions of themselves is distorted. So what that means is when you perceive yourself in a body, or you have misperceptions about yourself, you place yourself in a fear-weakened state and are therefore vulnerable to the perceptions of others. When you perceive yourself truly as spirit, when you perceive yourself as a child of God, as a child of love, and remember your true origins of love and light and truth, there is nothing that the perceptions of another can do to harm you. You cannot be harmed by the perceptions of another when you perceive yourself truly. It is only in a fear-weakened state, which comes from mispercepting oneself, that one is now susceptible to the perceptions and projections of another. This is good stuff. The miracle worker can only bless them, and this undoes their distortions and frees them from prison. Principles of miracle number 28. Principle of miracle number 20. Miracles reawaken the awareness that the spirit, not the body, is the altar of truth. This is the recognition that leads to the healing power of the miracle. Okay. All right. Paragraph 6. Let's go to paragraph 6 and read that. All right, where are we here? You respond to what you perceive, and as you perceive, so shall you behave. The golden rule asks you to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This means that the perception of both must be accurate. The golden rule is the rule for appropriate behavior. You cannot behave appropriately unless you perceive correctly. Since you and your neighbor are equal members of one family, as you perceive both, so you will do to both. You should look out from the perception of your own holiness to the holiness of others. So let's talk about that paragraph. Let's talk about that. So, when you begin to look out from right-minded perception of being one with your brothers, or when one begins to look out from right-minded perception of being one with their brothers, seeing their brothers in every new face that they meet from the awareness of oneness, they will uplift the perception of their brethren as well, of their brothers as well. In accordance to the golden rule, this right-minded perception will continue to move forward until the world finally knows no stranger, as everyone will be recognized as brothers. Okay. Paragraph number 7. Let's take a look at that one. Miracles arise from a mind that is ready for them. By being united, this mind goes out to everyone, even without the awareness of the miracle worker himself. The impersonal nature of miracles is because the at-one-ment itself is one, uniting all creations with their creator. As an expression of what you truly are, the miracle places the mind in a state of grace. The mind then naturally welcomes the host within and the stranger without. When you bring in the stranger, he becomes your brother. Let's talk about that. Principles of Miracle number 45. A miracle is never lost. So let's read that part again. Let me go right here. Miracles arise from a mind that is ready for them. By being united, this mind goes out to everyone, even without the awareness of the miracle worker himself. The impersonal nature of miracles is because the at-one-ment itself is one, uniting all creations with the Creator. So this is Principles of Miracles number 45. A miracle is never lost. It may touch many people you have not even met and produces undreamed of changes in situations of which you are not even aware. As an expression of what you truly are, the miracle places the mind in a state of grace. The mind then naturally welcomes the host within and the stranger without. When you bring in the stranger, he becomes your brother. Principles of Miracles, number 40. The miracle acknowledges everyone as your brother and mine. It is a way of perceiving the universal mark of God. All right. Let's move on. Paragraph number 8. That the miracle may have effects on your brothers that you may not recognize is not your concern. The miracle will always bless you. Miracles are not asked to perform. Miracles you are not asked to perform have not lost their value. They are still expressions of your own state of grace. But the action aspect of the mind should be controlled by me because of my complete awareness of the whole plan. The impersonal nature of miracle-mindedness ensures your grace. but only I am in a position to know where they can be bestowed. Okay. Now he's already talked about that. We're not qualified. However, principles of miracles number 35. Miracles are expressions of love, but they are not always, but they may not always have observable effects. So, that the miracle may have effects on your brother that you may not recognize is not your concern. Principle of miracles 35. Miracles are expressions of love, but they may not always have observable effects. The miracle will always bless. Miracles you are not asked to perform have not lost their value. They are still expressions of your own state of grace. But the action aspect of the miracle should be controlled by me because of my complete awareness of the whole plan, the divine plan. He's aware of the divine plan and he knows how these miracles will impact the divine plan. So there it is. The impersonal nature of miracle-mindedness ensures your grace, but only I am in a position to know where they can be bestowed. Principles of miracles number 32. I inspire all miracles, which are really intercessions. They intercede for your holiness and make your perceptions holy. By placing you beyond the physical laws, they raise you into the sphere of celestial order. In this order, you are perfect. Okay. Last paragraph, paragraph number 9. Let's read that one. All right. Miracles are selective only in the sense that they are directed towards those who can use them for themselves. Since this makes it inevitable that they will extend them to others, a strong chain of at-one-ment is welded. However, this selectivity takes no account of the magnitude of the miracle itself, because the concept of size exists on a plane that is itself unreal. Since the miracle aims at restoring the awareness of reality, it would not be useful if it were bound by laws that govern the error it aims to correct. Okay, so we've talked about that also. Miracles, okay, are spiritual in nature and they are expressions of love. Love is not bound by the laws of this physical world. Okay, love and miracles, they adhere to the laws of the spiritual world, and the spiritual world is not bound by any of the laws of this physical world. So, we got a couple of references though. Principle of miracles number 49. The miracle makes no distinction among degrees of misperception. It is a device for perception correction, effective quite apart from either the degree or the direction of the error. This is its true indiscriminateness. Principle of miracle number 50. The miracle compares what you have made with creation, accepting what is in accord with it as true and rejecting what is out of accord as false. Where it talks about the selectivity nature of the miracle, that is right in accordance with principle of miracles number 50. And as far as how it is not bound by the laws of this physical world, principles of miracle number 1. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love are maximal. So this concludes part 3 of chapter 1, meaning of miracles, part 3, atonement and miracles. And so stay tuned for 4, which is the escape from darkness. Again, I am Stephen Fleming, and good night, my brothers and sisters.